Hey, it's Wednesday, and this is Ron Johnson. This is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. NFL schedule release. Thursday, 7 p.m. The NFL is going to tell everybody what teams are playing where. We already have the international schedule laid out, so clearly there's some small pieces. We're going to talk about what games we're looking forward to with this coming season. And then at the end, we got to do a bit of what's in the fridge. There's some players we want to put in the fridge. There's some players we want to eat, and there's some players we just have to throw away. We'll do that coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast. And it starts now.
Hey everyone, this is Ron Johnson. This is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. And remember, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more by visiting FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started today. Well, today's show in the Hang on Ron Johnson segment, I got a special guest, a friend of mine, Will Bradford. He's now working for Cam Newton's iconic Saga media team. And he's helping him out with a lot of facets, but he has a lot to say about Detroit sports. He lives there, but he also is from the New York market as well. And then, of course, the black quarterback in the NFL. I want to get his takes on that because Cam Newton, his boy, made some comments about black quarterbacks, his hair, what he thinks about the other 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. And I want to get Will's take on that. But to open up the show, we have to talk about the NFL schedule release. And this is like another day. This is the one thing I'm about to say in the NFL, they're smart. They stretch out that season over 12 months. They try to dominate every month of the media. Now, they don't do it all the time because basketball is important, hockey's important, but the NFL stays relevant like no other sport. When hockey's done, hockey's done. When basketball's done, basketball's done. The NFL finds a way to stay relevant at least 11 out of the 12 months in the year. 11 out of the 12 months in the year with the draft, the schedule release, the NFL stays relevant. So as I bring Sam Ekstrom to the show, I want everybody to remember Amazon Fire, Roku. You can download the Amazon Fire and Roku apps if you have those TV systems or you have it on your phone or wherever, your tablet. You can go to your Amazon Fire, your Roku device. Just search Locked On Sports Minnesota to get all of our videos and all of our shows. Sam, schedule release, another Christmas present. This is like, and I don't even know, this would be birthday, I guess, because Christmas we know is when the season kind of starts. And that's kind of like a revolving, time of Christmas gifts every, just go. But the end of it, and maybe the draft is more Christmassy because I guess the draft is exciting, but this would be a birthday gift. The NFL schedule release, Sam, because for me personally, this is how I plan out my life. I have to do the Vikings game day live, and I have to do the Vikings post game on iHeartRadio and KFan Radio. And so this is my time. I love this time of year because then I get to come home, and this weekend I'll be traveling with my daughter and my wife for her softball tournament. So literally in the car, I'm going to be able to, my wife's going to have the schedule and she's going to be, okay, your mom should come this weekend. My daughter's birthday is this weekend. So, we got this game. Is it a home or a road game? We got Christmas. Is it home or away? Thanksgiving. Is it home or away? Are they playing on Black Friday? All of that stuff goes into our family planning because then we have to decide who can travel to visit and who can't. The one reason being is because some people travel. It's like, look, I'm not buying all those people tickets to the game. Now, if it's my mom, I'm fine with that. And my sister, if it's her parents, fine. But then there's some people who are like, I'm not buying 15 tickets because so-and-so and so-and-so then want to come visit and on Thanksgiving or whatever. Like, no. And there's a thing. If there is a home game for Thanksgiving and some people do come and they're not willing to buy their own tickets, that's on them. Because I know for Christmas, the whiteout, I think we had 12 people here, my mom, as well as her parents, and then her family. And they all bought their own tickets. I mean, I helped secure them. I put it all together, but I'm like, I'm not paying. I'm not in the NFL anymore. I can't afford to buy 15 tickets like Adam Thielen or CJ Ham. Like, that's not me. I can buy the 4 for my family. And that's about it. My 2 daughters, my wife, and my sister, and my mom. But the rest of y'all, her sister's husband. Like, no, y'all got to buy y'all tickets. But yeah, so this is the fun time for me, Sam, because it's kind of planning out my year. I will say I'm excited to see where the Packers get placed. I don't know if they're going to throw Jordan Love. Has
he gotten punched? Has he gotten punched yet by a teammate?
People are saying they see why Draymond punched him just because of his antics now. Like he's whining about stuff. He's super like complaining. He's not showing up in big moments, but it's not the Jordan Poole day. This is Jordan Love's day. And I'm interested to see how the NFL handles Jordan Love. Like, do they throw him to the Wolves early and say, you go play the Vikings in US Bank Stadium week 1, and you got to deal with that crowd noise, the new look offense of the Vikings? Or do they say, hey, we'll give you the Vikings because we want it on TV and we want Aaron Rodgers to be aware that this is your team now, but then do we do it in Green Bay like they did a couple years ago when the kicker, Daniel Carlson, missed 3 kicks? That could be the way to go. Because then you give Jordan Love an easy home game, but you still get that rivalry of the Vikings-Packers. I hope that's the way they go, only because then in December or November, you get the Packers indoors. And I think that's the key for this Vikings team. So that's the one I'm kind of interested in, Jordan Love and where they put his games. How do they do it? Adam Thielen, Carolina Panthers, Vikings. Does that become a primetime game because of Bryce Young now? It'll be interesting to see how that goes, but I don't know. What do you think, Sam? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah. See where the Chiefs game is going to land. That's a home game this year. Will that be prime time? Patrick Mahomes could always be prime time. 49ers game is at home this year. There's a couple key opponents that you have at home. But then Ron, the road trip, you got to circle. It's Las Vegas. Come on. You got to circle the Raiders game. You got to plan the itinerary. Are you going on Friday? Are you going on Saturday? Which casino are you going to stay at? And what's your gambling strategy going to be? That's the play if you're trying to go on a road trip this year.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's end of the year, so the Gopher season is done. And the only reason I say that, because if the Gopher season is not done, I have to do Gophers game day live. And so that means I'm working on a Saturday. But if the Gopher season is done and it's a late December game for the Vegas Raiders versus the Minnesota Vikings, that's a perfect opportunity for me to find a way to get out there. Like you said, right after our roundtable on a Friday, jump on a flight, get out there for a Friday, Saturday, even maybe see if maybe Fox wants to do a Vikings game day live on site from Vegas. I know the power trip is going to be there, so I can probably do the post game show from Vegas but we'll see. I don't know. That's wishful thinking. That's very wishful thinking. But like I said, NFL schedule release coming up today, people. It is going to be a fun, tomorrow. It's going to be a fun week, though. And then the rookies are in town. They're coming to town for rookie mini camp, Sam. We're going to do a little what's in the fridge. But I got Will Bradford joining me on the Hanging Around Johnson segment. Will Bradford, as I said, he's a part of Cam Newton's icon saga. That's one of his marketing pieces he has. Will breaks down a lot of the marketing stuff Cam Newton has going, the Anthony Richardson African-American quarterback conversation, and then, of course, the Detroit Lions. Where do they fall in the NFC North now that Aaron Rodgers has vacated the NFC North? Is this the time for the Lions to finally make their playoff push and be the NFC North champs? Before we jump into that, Sam, though, with the rookies coming to town, what rookie do you think has the most pressure on him for this first week?
Boy, that's a good question. I mean, if you're Jordan Addison, you feel like you have the most to prove because you're the first round pick. But I think that Mekhi Blackmon comes in with actually a very clear path to being a starter on this team. Like he's not really blocked by that many guys. If he beats out Andrew Booth and Caleb Evans, I think that he could be a legitimate starter if it shakes out that way. So he might feel the pressure to say, okay, there's an opportunity for me to really shine and try to impress Brian Flores right away and get some first team reps once the full team gets together. So I think that Blackmon has the most to prove.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Blackmon. I would like the lineman piece. You won't know until they put on equipment. The only pressure I would say Jordan Addison has is don't get the stigma that you can't catch. We've seen guys like Nelson Aguilar go into these camps, drop a lot of balls, and people are like, oh my God, why'd they draft him? That can go negative real fast in this town because people will always go back and say, why did we take a receiver? We could have took this. We could have took that. So I think there's a little bit of pressure there just to have a clean camp, making all the catches, making sure all the early stuff is there, and then staying healthy. But again, coming up next, we got Will Bradford joining us on the Hanging Around Johnson segment, and then we have a word from our sponsors.
Thanks, Ron. Today, we are presented by Built Bar. Built Bar doesn't have all the sugar. It doesn't have all the calories. It does have all the protein and the taste. It's tasty and it's healthy. What a combination. It's the best protein bar ever made. Built Bars are so delicious because they have 100% real dark chocolate. Their flavors are to die for. Churro, peanut butter brownie, cookies and cream. I don't know how Built packs in 17 grams of protein, but they managed to do it while only having 4 grams of sugar. You can get Built Bars at Walmart or Sam's Club. Walk on down to the pharmacy section, load up on the 4-bar or the 13-bar box. You can also get the specialty flavors at Built.com. So head on down, get some Built Bars today, load up on this delicious, nutritious treat. Built Bars.
Well, in the Hanging Around Johnson segment today, I got a fun one for those from Detroit, Michigan. Know of the name Will Bradford, but Will is a friend of mine I grew up with, but he's doing some special things in the social media world. Was with the Detroit Pistons, the Players Tribune. That's when I first really started to see Will come into his own. And of course, we're going to talk about his male model days in his modeling career, but I want to bring Will Bradford into the Hang Around Johnson segment. Will, man, I want to appreciate you for joining me today, man. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I appreciate you having me, man.
Man, it's like, I get Ryan Clark, I can get Darius Butler, I can get Merrill Hodge, I get Adam Thielen, I can get Justin Jefferson, but getting your own boy, like, man, like, come on, man.
That's not my fault, man. You just prioritized them over me. You know what I'm saying?
Man, come on, man. I've been trying, and we know I'm trying to do something special. So this is kind of the intro to it, because your boy Jeff and Spice has been on here a few times, but your boy Jeff, man, it's like leading a horse to water. He's got to see the other horses eating, and then he's like, oh, okay, it's safe over there, ain't no gators over there. Like, bruh, like, come on. What's put it on my calendar, man? Like, let me know. Yeah. But for those who don't know, man, Jeff McCall is one of my best friends. Played quarterback at Columbia, so he is the reason I went to the University of Minnesota, because if it wasn't for Jeff, I'd have probably easily been at Penn State or Michigan. But Jeff didn't want to throw me the ball all the time, so
Hey, it worked out for you regardless. You know what I'm
saying? Yeah, God said, you know what? Like, I got to put this barrier up for you. I can't give you D. Bryant. I got to give you Jeff McCall, because like, if I give you a quarterback that's gonna slang it, man, I don't know if you're ready for USC or. I probably would have lost my mind out there one of them schools. I'm not gonna lie.
Jeff gonna see this, man.
But Will, man, I want to get you on the show, man. I want to again appreciate you for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show. I want to get you on the show. One, you were part of the Players Tribune earlier in your career. Now you're creating Articulate Reach. That's your own company, but you also do some work now with Cam Newton. And on his, so you got hired to his social media team and his marketing team and his whole campaign of what he's doing via YouTube, podcasts, media outlets, everything. But let's go back to the Players Tribune days. That was where it was kind of like players were able to tell their own story. I was able to tell my story with my dad. Unfortunately, my dad wanted to tell his story, but shortly before, like literally the week of we were supposed to record, he passed away.
Yeah.
And so when you think about that, you guys giving players a platform, when did that become clear to you that this is the way the media world needs to start to go?
I mean, it was really early on, man. Like when I first joined the company, I can really see the impact that it was having and how players are gravitating to the platform and to the idea that, they can control their own narrative and tell their own stories, man. So, within the first few months of me being there and really starting to see the impact that it was having in regards to just players, being excited about having a space to where they can go and trust that, the story will be told the way they want it told, that, they can do interviews and trust that, it won't be any salacious headlines, that they'll get to approve and see the final product before it's published. Right out the gates, man, I saw the impact that it was having. I knew it was just a matter of time in terms of this would be the direction and where the business will be going in terms of, media, sports media anyway.
Yeah, because you got Travis Kelsey and Jason Kelsey. Now they have their own podcast in season too. So they're doing it during the season. Draymond Green jumped on board and he's doing an in-season podcast, which is not normal. Normally it's tough to get players. Yeah, it's tough to get players with the media during season, but Draymond Green literally in the playoffs after LeBron just dropped 21 on him in the second half, he gets on his podcast talking about, man, Steph Curry could be talking about, I got to figure LeBron out. Like, he's giving people the answers that he's not giving to the media, but he's doing it in his own way. How important or key or are companies going to have to come alongside these athletes and help them with these projects moving forward? Because it seems like more and more players want to have their own media outlet in season to kind of get their stories out.
Yeah, man. I mean, just think about how the media landscape has changed with that, man, over the years. Like that, something like that, a player will be like during the playoffs, you doing interviews or you doing a podcast. Like just a couple of years ago, a player would have been slammed trying to do something like that. Now,
right.
So you see how players are, they're really just taking control of their narrative, man. And, the landscape is changing and you're going to see more and more of that. I think, it's going to a place to where the outlets are going to have to partner with players versus hire players because a lot, they're seeing the business model and they're seeing that it works. Think about what Jalen Ramsey did, over this past year with Uninterrupted in regards to his show. He was doing it right after the game at the stadium. So, yeah, man, it's changing, and you'll see networks and these media outlets make their adjustments accordingly. I don't think it will cannibalize traditional sports media. I think that model will always be there. But I truly believe you will see more and more athletes doing this, the ones that really have the chops to do it anyway.
Yeah, and put your marketing hat on. This is your business. You do this. You look at ways to get media out there to the people, ways for players to tell their story. If you were to take a guy like Justin Jefferson, he's the best receiver in the NFL. He's with the Minnesota Vikings. Luckily, we were blessed in Minnesota to have the Eagles draft Jalen Reagor. Nothing against Jalen Reagor because he's now a Minnesota Viking as well. But the Eagles drafted Jalen Reagor just because of grading speed and other stuff. And Justin Jefferson was seen as Joe Burrow's great. Jamar Chase is great. Their running back is great. Their defense is great. So Justin Jefferson is just another piece of the puzzle, not realizing Justin Jefferson was the main puzzle piece. Jamar Chase and him, I would say, were even in Joe Burrow. Like it was literally a triangle. It was three even pieces that made that team go. And a lot of people didn't give Justin Jefferson credit, even though I picked him. So a lot of people because I know we're doing the NFL schedule release is coming up. The NFL and the Vikings have hired me to do their schedule release show. And last year and the year before, I picked the draft pick they picked. I picked Christian Darrisaw, I picked Justin Jefferson, and also picked I said they would go 12-5, and y'all flame me. Like they're not good enough. And they went 13-4. So I know the Vikings already text me, say, hey, we got the receipts from last year. So we will air those out today for social media. So I'm looking forward to those receipts being aired out. But when you look at a guy like Justin Jefferson, Will, what kind of impact could he have if he were to just come up with his own in season after every Vikings game, kind of like whether it's an interviewing a Kirk Cousins, interviewing another player on the team, or just sitting down with a guy like myself? What kind of impact could he have on the media world?
I mean, I think it can be huge, but honestly, man, it really depends on the individual. Like, do they have the personality? Do they have the passion for it? Because it's not easy. Like, anybody can't just get up there and do it, or every athlete would do it, right? So, they have to kind of have to have the personality or even the desire to really want to do it and do it consistently on a high level. But just in terms of name recognition and celebrity, that's there without question. But, for him to really do it on a high level and for people to really buy into it, man, he really needs the chops to do it, the creativity, the personality, the character to be able to pull it off. But, if all those things aligns, like, the sky's the limit for him, especially considering how young he is. And, barring any injuries, I can only see his career continuing to go up. So, yeah, man, I mean, a guy like that. And what I'm noticing too with a lot of these players is the equity piece. Like they're keeping their equity, they're the ownership, they're taking ownership of their product, and owning all of their IP. So, I mean, yeah, man, a guy like that, at this stage of his career, man, he can just start now and just start sowing those seeds to build that audience. And by the time he gets to, the peak of his career or, on the downturn of his career, man, everything is already laid out, and he's easily transitioning from, his professional career on the field to his professional career off the field.
Yeah, and let's transition a little bit quick into basketball. You're in Detroit. We'll talk a little football too, because you were a New York guy as well. You lived in New York for a while, but you're in Detroit now. And I don't know if I've ever seen a team tell, and of course they tell reporters that they know have reach, like Shams or Adam Schefter, like they throw that, they purposely do that because they know those guys have reach. Yeah. But when you think about the Dillon Brooks news, where they said under no circumstances are we ever going to bring him. I mean, like, we've all dated girls. We've all, had girlfriends in high school, college, whatever. And there's always that chance. Like, you break up with her and there's a chance. She gets married and you're like, maybe she'll get divorced. And there's still a chance. Like, they said under no circumstance. That's got to be like some, like, you committed a crime. I don't ever want you around me again. Like, don't talk to me. Like, what? Like, how bad did it get internally that maybe that we didn't see? And then also, though, because now you're in Detroit, you're in Detroit, you used to work for the Pistons, but now you've moved on. But they're tying his name to Dillon Brooks, like the Pistons. They're saying, the Pistons might want to bring him in to add some defense, to add maybe a little bit of moxie, to create like a persona around the Detroit basketball team, to create, get back to the bad boy days of Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace and go back to Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer. Could you see that working out for Dillon Brooks and the Pistons?
Bro, I don't know, man. I think that the Pistons are in search of an identity at this point. All that bad boy stuff is of the past. Mm-hmm. I think they have Isaiah Stewart is a great anchor, and he kind of carries that persona of the bad boys from back in the day. But outside of him, man, like, we can't hang our hat on that, the image or the persona of the Pistons being the bad boys of today. Like, that right. Ain't, I think if Cade is healthy coming back, the team is going to go as far as he can take them, and I don't know what kind of moves they're making during the offseason, but the Pistons, the character of the team will follow him. It's not going to be anybody else outside of Cade at this juncture, like I say, barring any injuries. But man, Dillon Brooks is young, man, and he don't know. No, he doing what he think he got to do to make a name for himself in the league. So he don't really know. I'm not sure if he got any mentors or anybody just teaching him the game, showing him the game. But I think this could be a great learning experience for him, if he got his head on his shoulders and, he take the right approach coming out of this season to go back in the lab and just retool in terms of his approach to the game, his approach to being a professional athlete and not just an athlete. And, I definitely think he can bounce back. And, he is a tough player. He has, like I say, a ton of time to adjust his game, to grow, and work on some of his weaknesses. And, he's proven that he could play in this league on a high level. The consistency hasn't really been there, but he has proven like, I can play on this level. And so it's just more for him probably about consistency, attitude change, man. And, just taking a different approach than what he took this past year. So can he fit in the Pistons? I think he can, but it's going to have to be an attitude shift, man, and just a different approach than what he took in Memphis.
Yeah, man, and transitioning from basketball to football. Of course, basketball, people remember FanDuel is the official sports book of Locked On Sports. This is the Ron Johnson Show. I'm Ron Johnson, and for those parlays, I've told you guys, my lock, you have to take the Lakers right now. That's a lock. If you want to get a Locked On FanDuel sportsbook lock, it's the Lakers. There's no way the Warriors are coming back. That's just me. If I'm wrong, I'll say it, but I don't think so. Their goose is cooked. Steph Curry, it's time to go to Cancun, bro. But when you think about Will talking about football, again, you're a Detroit guy. Aaron Rodgers has left the NFC North. Do you see an opportunity for the Lions to actually win the NFC North at this point and be a playoff contending team now that Aaron Rodgers has moved on?
Listen, man, every year we hope for the Lions to win something. So I've learned in my entire life, bro, I've hoped that the Lions would win something, and we haven't. I think we may have won one playoff game, maybe two.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Yeah. So, bro, it's hard to say, man. Like, anything is possible. But if they stay, on the course that they were on at the end of this past season, going into this upcoming season, man, and the pieces are in place, I think anything is possible. But yeah, man, it's hard to say with the Lions, man.
And when you look at the NFL, again, talking about Aaron Rodgers, when you saw the news he was going to New York, so kind of dual for you, NFC North connects with the Lions. You lived in New York. When you saw he was leaving to go to New York, though, did you ever think there would be a day where the New York Jets would be more important than the New York Giants?
I don't know if that makes them more important, though. You think it makes them more important?
I just feel like it, so Jason Smith, big time Fox Sports show, the Jason Smith show with Mike Harmon, he was on, and he's a New York guy, Syracuse guy. In his opinion, he just feels like, and Greenberg, you watch ESPN, Mike Greeny, and of course Greeny's a Jets fan, so maybe he's overdoing it, but it just feels like right now, and maybe it's more media. It just feels like the Jets are dominating the media. Like, nobody's talking about Danny Dimes and his contract. Nobody's talking about Saquon Barkley and his contract. Nobody's talking about the Giants. It's all about Aaron Rodgers, Sauce Gardner. I mean, because we're Detroit King grads. Right. Sauce Gardner got a chance to sit next to Jessica Alba.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just like it just seems like the Jets have done a great job of the narrative. One, controlling the narrative, making sure Aaron and maybe they told Aaron, like, hey man, throw it out there. You don't even want to play for the Packers anymore. Because when he did that, it now became a stalemate where everybody was on pins and needles, especially Vikings, Lions, and Bears fans, because we're like, bye. Yes, please go to New York. We don't want to go to the AFC. We don't even want to see you. But yeah, I just feel like the Jets personally are dominating the media world. I feel like they're a better team. I mean, you add Alan Lazard. You're going to get Breece Hall back, hopefully healthy because of the knee injury. But I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I just feel like they're a better team. I know the Giants beat the Vikings in the playoffs, but the Giants also lost to the Vikings in the regular season on a big-time comeback. But I don't know, Aaron Rodgers to me, and maybe I'm just old and I'm one of those old guys and I don't want to be that guy. But like, it's like if Jordan were to come back, I still would have hope that Jordan could still get it done. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there's certain quarterbacks like Tom Brady. If Tom Brady were to like come out of retirement for another time, because we know the Washington football team has bbeen reaching out to guys, Andrew Luck, they probably reached out to Tom Brady to come back to. I would hope Tom Brady would do well. So I don't know. I've always been an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I truly believe that right now, and maybe because Daniel Jones is boring as heck and he doesn't put himself out there like some of these other quarterbacks and going to games, and he's not. Daniel Jones is not the next game. Aaron Rodgers is. I mean, like both of you guys are New York quarterbacks, but he's not putting himself out. So that's just me. But I don't know from your side of it, because again, you're around Cam Newton, you're around some of these storylines with the NFL. Do you feel like it's still even, and New York Giants are still New York's team?
Yeah, man, I don't think that's gonna change, bro. I think I think the Jets will always have an opportunity to come up to that level. And, I mean, we've seen it over the years, right? They've had Brett Favre. They've had a number of quarterbacks come and go that, were like legacy players in the league, right?
Right.
But, once that kind of go down, like the Giants can have a nobody at the quarterback position, bro. It's still gonna be the New York Giants. Like, they're not going nowhere, man. I mean, like I said, I think what you alluded to earlier in terms of the media, it feels like that because it's so much media. It's Aaron Rodgers, coming into biggest market, well, one of the biggest market, if not the biggest market.
Yeah, true.
He's just gonna shake it up like that. But overall, man, it's not, you're not gonna knock the Giants off that pedestal, man. It just.
And Black History Month wasn't far ago, and I just like to celebrate Black History all the time. Like, I'm not gonna. February for me is done. I'm not against Black History Month. I love it, but I think Black History should be every month. We are American history, and so we're looking at American history being made for Black quarterbacks. 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 5 picks. If you were to go back to 1990, if you were to go back to Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning, if you were to go back to Joe Burrow, the question, Andrew Luck and RG3, the question was always, can the Black quarterback get it done? Can the Black quarterback do what needs to be done to be a top guy? You got guys like Jamarcus Russell being bust. You got guys like Michael Vick saying they didn't watch film. There's a lot of storylines out there, but then people forget about these other storylines, the Cam Newtons that were great. Yeah. You can go down the line and, the Justin Fields, the Jalen Hurts. And so now, after Jalen Hurts did what he did, Lamar Jackson doing what he did, I looked at Cordell Stewart because I reached out to Cordell and he and I chopped it up a little bit. And he was taken in the 2nd round. Still, good pick. But you look at today's NFL, Cordell Stewart probably is easy a first rounder because of his athleticism, because of his ability to run, because it's not one of those things like, oh, he's a running quarterback. It's like, hey, we can turn this guy into a beast. Like he can run and throw. And so now coaches are more likely to do it. Do you think that stigma, because you go back to even like the Warren Moon days and guys like that had to go, Randall Cunningham, had to go to Canada in order, like Warren Moon, having to go to Canada to prove he could be a quarterback in the NFL. Do you think those days are done now when you look at CJ, you look at Bryce Young, and then you even have Anthony Richardson, who did not have a great college career. He had a subpar career, but the kid is built like Cam Newton and ran a 4.3 40. So the coach were like, hey, let's go get our franchise quarterback.
We're going to figure this out.
Right, we're going to figure this out. Like you got that. You got the tools to give us what Cam Newton gave the Panthers. We see what Jalen Hurts did at what, 6 feet?
Yeah.
And you're 6'4", you're bigger and you're faster.
Yeah.
Okay, let's figure this out. So do you think that stigma of the Black quarterback is done? Or do you think it rests on the shoulders of these 3 young men this year, or like this next 3 years?
I think that the league is evolving. I think that the game has evolved a lot. And so I think with that, that position is going to continue to evolve to bigger, faster, stronger, in the pocket, out the pocket. Like it's just kind of what it is. I think I don't think the stigma has totally went away, but I think it's getting there. I think you still deal with some. Just look what happened with Lamar Jackson this past year in terms of what he had to do to fight to get his money, right? Like, so I don't think that it's totally gone away, and I can't say that if Lamar Jackson did what he did and was a white quarterback, it wouldn't even been a conversation. It wouldn't have got this far in terms of him getting his money and what he wanted to do. But I don't know. It's kind of a catch because I look at Deshaun Watson and what he went through, and then to get the bag that he got, you can say like,
right.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, bro.
I'd say this. I think players are afforded to do what they do.
Yeah.
As long as you do what you do to put the fans in the stands and win games.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's the end of the day. Cam Newton had a polarizing conversation. You're working with Cam Newton now on his team. And what is that team called? Like, what is his marketing team called? Like, what is that whole media project called right now?
So Cam, he has a production company called Iconic Saga.
Okay. Yep.
And so he's really diving headfirst into that space and building out properties and IP, man. So he has his podcast, Funky Fridays, that he released an episode once a week, interviewing a wide array of individuals, from celebrities, entertainers, influencers, everyday people, entrepreneurs. He's interviewed pastors. Like, he's really, covering a broad spectrum in terms of the guests that he brings on the show. Mm-hmm. So he has that. He's also producing and developing scripted and non-scripted projects, and then he has his C1N program, and that is it's the 7-on-7 team, to where he has, I want to say he has I think ages 14 through 18 or 15 through 18, and several different teams within those different age groups. And he has like some of the top players in the nation in high school on his teams, and they, he traveled with those guys, and he compete in all of like the 7-on-7 tournaments, the top tournaments. And I think this year they started their own tournaments, and so he's building that program and building out media and content around these young high school athletes, man, and kind of helping them develop and build their presence. So man, he's just building and growing the media company, man. So
and so, two quick ones before we get out of here. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Will Bradford from Creating Articulate Reach, but now a part of the Cam Newton family, getting his marketing, properties out there. Everything Cam Newton's trying to do, Will Bradford's a big part of it now, and been brought alongside to help it grow. But Will, two quick ones. Sorry. So one, Cam Newton made a comment about quarterbacks, and one was that he doesn't think there's 32 quarterbacks better than him. I agree. He also said that one or two, and I do believe, because I don't think every GM feels this way, or coach might have said to him at the workout, like, hey man, have you ever thought about cutting your hair? That might make it harder for us to bring you in. When you think about that, and he said, no, this is my identity. Like, you don't say anything to the white guys with long hair. Yeah. When you think about stuff like that, do you think there's ever going to be a time, because we see this all the time, though. We see wrestling kids with braids get told, no, you can't, you got to cut your hair if you want to wrestle because the rule says XYZ, or, the girl that's playing softball, she has beads in her hair, and it's like, oh no, it's a risk. If you have beads in your hair, so you got to cut your hair. There's all these things that come back to the African-American community that create lifelong scars. So when you think about that comment that Cam Newton talked about, saying like, we got to stop looking at, athletes and their hair like this and just treat us like, whatever. Like my hair should not change, or my fashion, the way I dress shouldn't change, because you're not saying nothing to James Harden. You're not saying nothing to Russell Westbrook. You're not saying anything to Dylan Brooks. You know what I mean? Like it's like you pick and choose when you want to pick the outfits and talk about what players wear. When do you think, or how do you think that changes? Is it by conversations like Cam Newton's trying to create, or, it is one of those things that as time goes on, some of these type of people will, get pushed out the door of these organizations?
Yeah, man. I think it's important to have the conversations and to put it out there, so that it can be addressed. I think that a part of it is, ownership. I mean, when you own something, you can pretty much make the rules.
True,
right?
True, very true.
I think that's part of it. I think that it's communication and having the conversations, and continuing to diversify the leadership within these organizations, man. Culture has changed a lot over the years. The NFL, the makeup of the NFL has changed a lot.
Yeah.
May have, a lot of executives and people in the higher ups, man, that have been there over the years and aren't really keeping up with culture like that and really know how to deal with like younger players. So I think, there's many variables that go into that, man. But the biggest one in my eyes is ownership, man. Like we got our own stuff to be able to control and develop a culture that we see that's fit for the modern day athlete.
Yeah, man, because we got a group chat with myself, you, Keenan Ware, Jamisha Smith, Spice Adams, and Brian Johnson. All of us went to King High School. You, of course, left and went to Finney. So you're well aware of the transfer portal. You were a high school transfer portal before it was a thing.
Right.
But we often talk about that on the group chat. We often talk about that on the group chat about, ownership and all the things that come along with it, and trying to find ways. And then we always have our conspiracy theories jokes. We always talk about like, oh, right before somebody about to buy a team, they get sexual harassment, or right before somebody about to, right before African American about to buy a TV company, they end up in jail or they die, Jackson Mahomes, he out here getting sexual assault. Clearly, Patrick Mahomes is about to buy Disney. Like, there's a lot of stuff.
Always a theory.
There's always a theory. And so last one before we get out of here, man, like when you talked about ownership, the Washington football team or Commanders, I hate that name, the Washington Commanders, because I had Santana Moss on, and Santana Moss talked about their ownership group and possibly having an African-American in that group. Magic Johnson was one of them. Now they have a true full black owner that said, look, man, I got 52% of the money. So he's trying to come to the table, with $3 billion to try to buy this team. Yeah. Do you think, because the day might come, it's coming, but do you think these other 32 owners are going to be willing to not only just accept a guy like Magic Johnson, but listen to what he has to say to reshape this league?
I think man, it's going to be a fight, man. What struggle come with change, right? Like it's just not, just going to hand it over. But, I think it's going to be a fight. I think Magic is I would probably say a right person to take on that fight. I think he's proven himself in the sports space, on the court, off the court, in the business world, to know what he's doing. And so, will it happen? Man, time will tell, Right. I think that, the spotlight is on NFL ownership. And, I think if someone like Magic is in those rooms, mm-hmm. I do think he will evoke change. How fast it will happen, I don't know that, but I do think we will start to see some change,
Well, yeah, man, I want to appreciate you for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show, hanging with Ron Johnson segment. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Will Bradford. Coming up next, people, we got a little what's in the fridge. Rookie mini camp is coming up. We know the Vikings rookies are headed here. I will be over there at TCO today and tomorrow. I get the secret look at the schedule, but I can't tell you guys until 6:59 p.m. So stay tuned for that. The Vikings are going to release a cool video. I heard there's a drone. Like they told me be ready for a drone. So I got to have my hair nice on all sides. I can't just line it up and get the front end. I gotta get it all, because they say, man, we're gonna have a drone going around you guys. But I can't tell you what we're doing with this drone. But some players are involved, some alumni are involved, and some legends are involved in this whole schedule release production. Looking forward to that. But coming up next with myself and Sam Ekstrom, what's in the fridge? And you know what that means for the everydayers. We're gonna keep one, we're gonna eat one, and we're gonna throw one in the trash. That's coming up next. Well, it's always fun to catch up with friends like that. Will Bradford's a great guy. Sam, before we jump into what's in the fridge, I want people to remember we are partnered with XM Radio now. The SXM app is just easy to download to your phone, and you have to search Minnesota Twins. You can also search Locked On Sports Minnesota, and then you'll be able to subscribe to our shows as well. But remember, people, the Twins play the Padres tonight at 6:40 Central. The first place Twins are looking to get their offense going back at Target Field. You can catch every pitch with the Twins' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Twins. And this is time for a bounce back game, Sam. So everybody make sure you join in and tune in to that one, because I think this is the time when the Twins hopefully rattle off 2 games, because they're not heading the right direction right now, Sam. They're trending in the wrong direction. But again, the SXM app is where to get all the action. All right, Sam, it's time for what's in the fridge really quick before we get out of here. Been a really good show today, but rookie minicamp, let's put some stuff in the fridge and see what we keep, what we throw away. Take it away.
All right. You keep one, you store one, you throw one away. I've got 3 players at 2 different positions. So we got two of these games. The first one is at the running back spot. Mm-hmm. I think we don't know about Dalvin Cook, so he's not part of this. Alexander Madison is your starter. Mm-hmm. But what about these backups? You've got Ty Chandler, Kene Nwangwu, and the rookie, Dwayne McBride. Keep one, store one, throw one away.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's tough, Sam. That's tough. That's tough. You know what? I'm gonna go. I don't want to go traditional. I'm gonna go a little bit off the beaten path. I'm gonna bring Kene Nwangwu out. He's gonna be my backup. So I'm gonna keep him, put him on the table. I'm gonna store McBride. I think McBride is a 7th round pick. You kind of gotta figure he's your guy that you really were high on and see. And I'm gonna throw Ty Chandler away. just because we don't know. I mean, like he didn't break the group last year. Now I could be overthinking this, but I do see McBride giving you a lot in the pass and the run game as a Swiss Army knife type of running back. So I'm going to go with that one. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, first of all, I messed up the word. It's not keep one. It's eat one. Eat one, store one. So you're eating Kene Nwangwu.
Yeah, I'm bringing Kene Nwangwu out. Yep. He's on the table.
You're ditching Ty Chandler. So that's where I think I would switch it. Now I don't love making that decision. I love Kene Nwangwu.
Mm-hmm.
I just really want to see what Ty Chandler can do, and I loved his preseason last year. So I'm going to eat him. I'm going to store McBride because I think that once he learns how to pass protect, I think he could be a really valuable runner. And unfortunately, I'm going to throw away Nwangwu. I don't know. They haven't really allowed him to flourish in the offense the past 2 years. I don't know if that means he can't do it or if they just haven't given him the chance. But as much as it kills me, I'm going to throw that one away.
True. What you got next?
Yeah. All right. The safeties. This is a tricky one.
Yeah, this is a hard one.
Cam Bynum, he's your incumbent. He started last year. Lewis Seen coming on strong off of injury. And then the new guy, Jay Ward. What are you going to do, Ron? Eat one, store one, throw one away.
I don't know. I'm torn. I'm really torn. So here's my initial thought is easy. Cam Bynum. He's consumable. He's coming out the fridge. Cam Bynum. My immediate thought is in the fridge, I'm going to go Jay Ward just because he's the draft pick and he's healthy. Lewis Seen, I'm not putting him in the trash. But you know how you put stuff in the Tupperware in the back of the refrigerator and you forget about it until it's too late?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's where I want to put Lewis Seen just because of injury. Just because we don't know what the Vikings are going to do with him. We don't know how healthy, what percentage. Because if he says 70%, he's not ready. I think that's where they were saying he's at right now. So that's the only, like if this was Lewis Seen, fully healthy, never had an injury, I'm taking Lewis Seen over Jay Ward just because I saw what he did at Georgia and I saw his ability. And I think Brian Flores would have a way to unlock him because of the multiple set defense, allowing Lewis Seen to move around a little bit and not just be a true safety. Because if you look at Georgia, he was in the box a ton and played in the flat a ton and made a lot of plays, running sideline to sideline. Extremely range out the yin yang. That's kind of my initial thought. Like Lewis Seen would be the one to kind of put away, forget about it, or throw it away. But I like the Jay Ward as he's just going to be on the shelf waiting, and then I like the Cam Bynum as my guy because Cam Bynum, again, we kept saying who's next to Harrison Smith. He's earned that right to be next to Harrison Smith now. He's earned it. It wasn't given to him. He earned it because if he didn't earn it, Lewis Seen would have been the starter last year. And that's what I think people forgot. It wasn't that Lewis Seen wasn't ready. It was that Cam Bynum was just so good you could not put him out there, which that's probably not great English, but you couldn't. You could not put him out there. But you couldn't. And he's earned it. And I think so many people say that. Jobs are won and lost sometimes, unfortunately, due to injury. If you think about Tom Brady probably doesn't have the trajectory of a career that he has if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt. Drew Bledsoe's career doesn't go the way it goes if Tom Brady doesn't play well once Drew Bledsoe gets hurt. If Tom Brady comes in and stinks up the joint, they're just waiting for Drew Bledsoe to get healthy. Tom Brady killed it. Drew Bledsoe has to move on. I think that's the name of the game with the NFL as a whole, though. It's injury sometimes allows people to come out there, and then sometimes injury is like, whoa, okay, we definitely got to get this guy back. So it's both ways. Don't always think because somebody gets hurt, it's over for them, because we've seen that as well. We've seen quarterbacks go down and the team is trash. And so it's not always Tom Brady waiting in the wings. So let's be clear there. But yeah, that's where I would go with it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on those three safeties?
Yeah, I'm going to eat Bynum. I'm going to put Seen back in the fridge and store him because I think he's close.
Yep.
And Ward, you know how you feel guilty sometimes if something's been in the fridge too long, so you don't want to throw it away, so you put it in the freezer and you let it sit there for months and months and months.
Yep.
I'm going to put him on ice.
Okay.
I'm going to freeze Jay Ward.
I like that.
But yeah, I'm going to make sure to keep him on top of the stack, though. And I don't want to bury him in there. So he builds up that kind of ice, that little layer of frost on him.
Okay.
No, he's just going to
You know what? I'm gonna put Lewis Seen on ice because he needs it. He needs it with the leg. He needs to be on ice. I like that. I like that one. That's a good one too. That's an option. So that'll be the moving forward. What's in the fridge? The freezer is the bonus spot. If you don't want to throw them in the trash, like if it's not a true trash throwaway, we'll put them in the freezer. I was going to say this too about putting a human being in the freezer. Have you ever seen Judge Dredd? You have not.
No, I haven't.
Sylvester Stallone and I think Wesley Snipes, and it was about cryogenesis. They put these guys in like a cryogenic chamber, and then we're gonna, like, whenever you went to jail, you got put in a cryo chamber. Is basically what was going on. And so then the guys started thawing out all the bad guys, and then by the time they unthawed them, the world had been so nice, these bad guys didn't know how to live in it, and so they created this world like underground. It's an old movie with Sylvester Stallone though. But anyway, that's when you said freezer. I thought about that, like putting a human in the freezer. I'm like, oh, Judge Dredd. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. I want to thank you guys for joining us on the Locked On Minnesota podcast network. We've enjoyed this ride, and there's more to come because Friday we're gonna have the full schedule. And each guy is going to take 4 games and kind of break it down a little bit of what we're excited about. We're going to pick a game we all love. We're going to pick a game we all hate. And then we're going to kind of pick a stretch of games that we think are the toughest. I'm Ron Johnson. Again, that's Sam Ekstrom. This is Locked On Sports Minnesota. This is the Ron Johnson Show. And I want to thank you guys and have a great day.